The massive window in Commander Jack Reed's office showed the endless stars of the Orion Arm. 200 years had passed since humans could fight in space wars. Jack looked at the metal box on his desk. It belonged to his great-grandfather, one of the last human soldiers to fight in a galactic war. "Commander Reed, the Galactic Council representatives are waiting for you," said the voice of his assistant through the speaker. Jack fixed his uniform and took a deep breath. "Send them in." The door slid open with a soft hiss. 3 aliens entered the room. The tallest one was Ambassador Trell, a blue-skinned being with 4 arms and eyes that changed color with his mood. Currently, they glowed a nervous yellow. "Commander Reed, thank you for meeting us on such short notice," said Trell, bowing slightly. "Please, sit down," Jack said, pointing to the chairs across from his desk. Trell sat down, his companions following. The second visitor was General Vorax, a reptilian alien with scales that reflected light like metal. The third was Diplomat Mira, who looked almost human except for her silver skin and completely black eyes. "We face a serious problem," Trell said. His eyes shifted to a dark orange. "The Void Collective has taken 3 more systems in the past week." Jack nodded. The Void Collective was a mysterious species that had appeared 6 months ago from unknown space. They used strange fighting methods that confused the Galactic Defense Forces. "How many planets have they taken now?" Jack asked. 27, General Vorax answered, his voice deep and rumbling. "They should not be winning. Our ships are better. Our weapons are stronger. But they keep defeating us." Jack turned to his computer and pulled up the latest reports. The screen showed a map of the galaxy with red dots marking the conquered systems. The pattern was clear to him, though he doubted the aliens could see it. "They're using old human tactics," Jack said quietly. "What do you mean?" asked Diplomat Mira, leaning forward. "Hit and run. Targeting supply lines instead of military bases. Psychological warfare." Jack pointed to different areas on the map. "These aren't random attacks. They're following a pattern that Earth generals used centuries ago." The 3 aliens exchanged worried looks. "That is why we are here," Trell said. "The Council is considering asking for human help." Jack raised his eyebrows. "The ban has been in place for 2 centuries. The Council was very clear that humans were too dangerous to participate in galactic conflicts. Times change," Vorax growled. "The Void Collective does not follow normal battle rules. They attack civilian targets, they use dirty tricks. Like humans did," Jack stated. The room fell silent. Jack stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. "Do you know why the ban was put in place?" he asked without turning around. "The Earth solution," Mira said softly. "The stories say humans ended the last great war in a way that horrified the galaxy." Jack nodded. "My great-grandfather never talked about what they did, but it ended a war that had been going on for 30 years. The galaxy decided humans were too unpredictable, too willing to cross lines that other species wouldn't. And yet here we are," Trell said, "asking for that same unpredictability." Jack turned around. "What exactly are you asking for, Ambassador?" "The Council will vote tomorrow on temporarily lifting the ban. They want you to lead a human advisory team, but only to give advice, no direct fighting." Jack sat back down at his desk. He opened his drawer and pulled out an old, worn book. The aliens watched curiously as he flipped through the pages. "This is The Art of War by Sun Tzu," Jack explained. "A human military text written over 3,000 years ago. It says, 'All warfare is based on deception. The Void Collective understands this. The Galactic Defense Forces do not.' Will you help us, Commander Reed?" Mira asked. Before Jack could answer, his computer beeped with an urgent message. He opened it and frowned. "The Void Collective just attacked Proxima Station." "That's deep in human territory," Jack said, standing up quickly. "They've never attacked human worlds before." "The ban works both ways," Vorax said. "They know humans cannot fight back." Jack's face hardened. "They're testing the boundaries. If the Council lifts the ban, I want more than an advisory role. That would be difficult to approve," Trell said, his eyes now dark blue with worry. "Then the Council needs to understand what they're asking for. Jack replied. Human warfare isn't just about tactics or technology. It's about a mindset that your species have never fully understood. Jack walked to a wall display and pressed a button. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a small storage area. Inside was an old uniform, different from the ceremonial one he wore now. This one was designed for combat, with armor plates and utility pouches. Next to it hung a strange-looking helmet with a dark visor. My great-grandfather's combat gear, Jack explained. He kept it as a reminder of what humans were capable of. The aliens stared at the armor with a mixture of curiosity and unease. There's an old human saying, Jack continued. Let sleeping dogs lie. For 200 years, the galaxy has been content to let humans sleep. Now, you want to wake us up. We need your help, Trell said simply. The council will vote tomorrow, but I wanted to know if you would accept the position if offered. Jack closed the panel and returned to his desk. He opened the metal box and took out a small silver star attached to a ribbon. This was given to my great-grandfather for his role in the Earth solution. Do you know what he told me when I was a child? He said, this isn't for bravery, it's for being willing to do what no one else would. Jack put the medal back in the box. If the council lifts the ban, I will help. But they need to know what they're asking for. Humans don't fight like other species. We don't have the same limits. Trell nodded slowly. I will tell them your conditions. As the alien stood to leave, Jack's computer beeped again. Another urgent message. The Void Collective just destroyed Proxima Station, Jack said, his voice tight. 5,000 human colonists. No survivors. The aliens froze. Jack looked up from his screen, his eyes cold. Tell the council they have my answer. It's time the galaxy remembered why they banned us in the first place. After the aliens left, Jack returned to the window. The stars seemed colder now. 200 years of peace was about to end. He wondered if the galaxy was ready for what was coming. Humans had been banned from galactic wars for good reasons. Now, those reasons were about to become clear again. 3 days after the destruction of Proxima Station, Jack Reed stood in a large meeting room aboard the Galactic Council's flagship. The circular table in the center held representatives from 12 different species. All eyes were on him as he finished his presentation. And that's why the Void Collective's attacks have been successful despite your technological advantages, Jack said, turning off the holographic display. They're using psychological warfare. They want you afraid. Admiral Krex, a tall, insect-like being with 4 arms and compound eyes, clicked his mandibles in frustration. This makes no sense. War's about strength and numbers. The stronger force wins. Jack shook his head. Not always. Earth history is full of examples where the weaker side won because they fought smarter, not harder. The Galactic Council had voted to partially lift the ban. Humans could now advise alien forces but still couldn't fight directly. Jack had been appointed as the chief human advisor, much to the discomfort of many council members. What do you suggest we do, Commander Reed? Asked Council Leader Orza, an elderly being with pale blue skin and white hair that seemed to float around her head. Jack walked around the table, looking at each representative. First, stop thinking like a traditional military. The Void Collective isn't attacking your strongest points. They're hitting where you're weak and vulnerable. He pointed to the star map floating above the table. See these supply routes? They've cut off 3 major military bases from getting fuel and food. Your ships are powerful, but they can't fight if they can't move or if their crews are hungry. Admiral Krex stood up angrily. This is dishonorable. In proper warfare, armies face each other directly. The Void Collective doesn't care about your honor, Jack replied calmly. They care about winning. The room fell silent. Jack could feel the tension in the air. These beings had fought wars for thousands of years with strict rules and traditions. The idea of fighting differently was alien to them. Ironically, a soft voice spoke from the corner of the room. Perhaps we should listen to the human, all. Heads turned to Admiral Trax, an older military leader with gray skin and sad eyes. He was known for his experience in the last major galactic conflict. I was there when the Earth solution ended the Great War, Trax said quietly. I saw what humans can do when pushed too far. If Commander Reed says the Void Collective is using human tactics, we should pay attention. Jack nodded gratefully to the old admiral. At least someone understood the gravity of the situation. What do you propose, Commander? Council Leader Orza asked again. Form smaller, faster strike teams instead of large battle groups, Jack said. Hit their supply lines the same way they're hitting yours. Use deception. Make them think you're attacking one place while you're really targeting another. Admiral, Krex's antenna twitched in disgust. Trickery and lies. This is not how honorable species conduct war. Would you rather be honorable or survive? Jack asked bluntly. Before Krex could respond, the room's emergency lights flashed red. A communications officer rushed in. The Void Collective has launched simultaneous attacks on 3 more systems, the officer reported. They're using a new weapon that disables our ship's shields. Jack turned to the council members. They're adapting faster than you. This is what humans do in war. We change tactics, we innovate, we find weaknesses and exploit them. Council Leader Orza stood. Admiral Trax, take Commander Reed and implement his suggestions with your fleet. Admiral Krex, secure the core systems. With our traditional forces, we will try both approaches. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Trax approached Jack. Walk with me, Commander, the old admiral said. They left the council chamber and moved to a quiet observation deck. Through the massive window, they could see ships of various designs coming and going from the station. You didn't tell them everything. In there, Trax said, his voice low. About what you suspect? Jack looked at the admiral with surprise. What do you mean? I've studied human warfare since the ban, Trax admitted. The Void Collective isn't just using human tactics. They're using them too well, as if they know human military thinking from the inside. Jack nodded slowly. I've had the same thought. The attack on Proxima Station wasn't random. It was personal. A message. You think humans are helping them, Trax said. It wasn't a question. I think it's possible, Jack replied. Not all humans agreed with the ban. Some thought it was shameful to be excluded from galactic affairs. Trax turned to face Jack fully. If you're right, this becomes even more dangerous. The Council partially lifted the ban to get human help against the Void Collective. If they discover humans might be on both sides, they'll reinstate the ban immediately and we'll lose this war, Jack finished. What are you going to do? Trax asked. Jack stared out at the stars. First, I'm going to help you implement the strategies I suggested. Then I need to find proof of human involvement with the Void Collective. And if you find it, then I'll need to deal with it quietly, Jack said. For 200 years, humans have lived peacefully in the galaxy. I won't let a few traitors ruin that, Trax nodded. I'll help you. Not all of us fear humans, Commander Reed. Some of us remember that before the Earth solution, humans fought to protect others as often as they fought for themselves. Jack smiled slightly. Thank you, Admiral. Their conversation was interrupted by another alarm. Jack's personal communicator beeped urgently. He checked the message and his face darkened. What is it? Trax asked. The Void Collective just hit New Terra Colony, Jack said, his voice tight with anger. Second human target in a week. Casualties? Unknown yet. But they left something behind. This time. Jack showed Trax the image on his communicator, a symbol burned into the ground of the colony's main plaza. Trax looked confused. What does it mean? It's an ancient human military symbol, Jack explained. It means traitor. So you were right, Trax said quietly. Jack nodded, his face grim. Humans are helping the Void Collective, and they're sending me a message. What will you do now? Jack turned from the window, determination in his eyes. What humans do best, Admiral, adapt and overcome. As they walked toward the hangar bay where Trax's ship waited, Jack knew the galaxy was about to learn why humans had been banned from warfare. Not because they were evil, but because when pushed, there were no limits to what they would do to win. And somewhere out there, other humans had forgotten what lines should never be crossed. 2 weeks after the attack on New Terra, Jack Reed stood in front of 30 alien officers inside the battlecruiser Stellar Dawn. Each officer represented a different species in the Galactic Defense Forces. Some looked skeptical, others curious, and a few openly hostile. "The first rule of human warfare," Jack said, pacing across the front of the room, "is that there are no rules." A murmur of disapproval spread through the audience. A tall, purple-skinned officer stood up. "This goes against everything we believe," he said. "War has codes, honor, structure." Jack nodded. "And that's why you're losing. The Void Collective doesn't care about your codes or your honor." In the 2 weeks since Jack had started advising Admiral Trax's fleet, they had managed to slow the Void Collective's advance, but they hadn't stopped it. 5 more systems had fallen, though now the enemy was paying a higher price for each victory. "Today we're going to talk about something humans call psychological warfare," Jack continued. "Winning the battle in your enemy's mind before firing a single shot." Brought up images on the large screen behind him. They showed damaged Void Collective ships retreating from a recent battle. "This looks like a victory for us," Jack said. "But look closer." He zoomed in on one of the enemy ships. Small pods were launching from its side. While you were celebrating, pushing them back, they were dropping stealth units onto the planet below. By the time you realized what happened, they had already taken control of the main communications tower. The entire planet surrendered without a ground battle. The room fell silent. Jack could see the realization sinking in. The Void Collective understands that war happens here. Jack tapped his temple. As much as it happens on the battlefield. Admiral Trax stood from his seat in the back. "Commander Reed is right. Our traditional tactics aren't working. We need to learn new ways to fight." Jack nodded gratefully to the Admiral. Over the past 2 weeks, Trax had become his strongest ally. The old Admiral understood what was at stake better than anyone. "I've divided you into 5 teams," Jack said. "Each team will learn different human warfare techniques: deception, guerrilla tactics, psychological operations, intelligence gathering, and contingency planning." "Contingency planning?" asked a small, bird-like officer. "We already have backup plans." "Not like this," Jack replied. "Humans plan for failure in ways your military doesn't understand. We assume everything will go wrong and prepare accordingly." The training session lasted 8 hours. By the end, most of the officers looked overwhelmed. A few seemed excited by the new ideas. Others remained skeptical. As the room emptied, Admiral Trax approached Jack. "You." "Push them hard," Trax observed. "We don't have time for gentle teaching," Jack replied. "The Void Collective is getting stronger, and I'm more convinced than ever that humans are helping them." Trax lowered his voice. "The Council is concerned about your methods. Admiral Krex has filed a formal complaint." Jack wasn't surprised. Krex had opposed human involvement from the beginning. Has his fleet had any successes against the Void Collective? Jack asked. "No," Trax admitted. "They've lost 2 more battle groups using traditional tactics." Jack's communicator beeped. He checked the message and frowned. "What is it?" Trax asked. "I need to show you something," Jack said. "In private." They walked to Jack's quarters. Inside, Jack activated a security field that blocked any listening devices. "My contacts found this," Jack said, bringing up a video on his personal screen. The video showed a human woman in a strange uniform addressing a group of Void Collective soldiers. She was explaining battle plans, pointing to maps of Galactic Defense Forces positions. "Who is she?" Trax asked. "Her name is Maria Reed," Jack said quietly. "My sister." Trax's eyes widened. "Your own blood relative is helping the enemy?" Jack nodded, his face tight with anger and pain. "We haven't spoken in 15 years. She always believed humans should have rejected the ban by force. She thought we had become weak living under alien rules. Did you know she was involved with the Void Collective?" "No," Jack said. "I thought she had settled on a frontier colony. Now I understand why they attacked Proxima Station and New Terra. They were sending me a message." "What will you do?" Trax asked. Before Jack could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. The intercom crackled. "Admiral Trax to the bridge. Emergency situation." They rushed to the bridge. Officers were running between stations, shouting orders. Report, Trax commanded. The Void Collective has launched a major offensive, a communications officer reported. They're hitting Freedom Colony. It's a direct attack on a human settlement, sir. Jack froze. Freedom Colony was home to over 1 million human civilians. It was also where he had grown up. This is too much of a coincidence, Jack said to Trax. They're targeting my home world. Maria is making this personal. Trax turned to his navigation officer. Set course for Freedom Colony, maximum speed. Sir, the weapons officer called out. Council protocols state we can't engage directly to defend human colonies. The ban is only partially lifted. Jack slammed his fist on a console. 1 million humans live there. Are you going to let them die because of politics? The bridge fell silent. All eyes turned to Admiral Trax. The Void Collective has changed the rules of engagement, Trax said finally. We will defend Freedom Colony. Admiral, the first officer said hesitantly, that would directly violate Council orders. I've fought in 3 galactic wars, Trax replied. I know what's at stake here. If Freedom Colony falls, the Void Collective will grow stronger. And more importantly, it's the right thing to do. Jack looked at the Admiral with new respect. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a direct message from the Void Collective fleet. They're asking to speak with Commander. Read specifically. Jack and Trax exchanged glances. Put it on screen, Trax ordered. The main view screen flickered to life. Maria Reed's face appeared, looking so similar to Jack that several officers gasped. Hello, brother, she said, smiling coldly. Surprised to see me? Why are you doing this, Maria? Jack asked, his voice steady despite his anger. To show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of, she replied. For 200 years we've been treated as dangerous animals, kept on a leash. It's time to remind everyone why they feared us. By helping aliens attack human colonies? You're killing your own people. Maria's smile faded. Sometimes sacrifices must be made. The Earth solution taught us that. The Earth solution was a mistake, Jack said. A desperate action in desperate times. It was our finest hour, Maria countered. When humans showed the galaxy what we're willing to do to win. She leaned closer to the screen. I'm giving you a choice, Jack. Join us, or watch Freedom Colony burn. Jack straightened his shoulders. You know my answer. Then you'll need to stop me yourself, Maria said. But that would mean breaking the ban completely, wouldn't it? Are you willing to do that, brother? Are you willing to become what the galaxy fears? The screen went dark. Jack turned to Trax, his decision already made. I need a ship, he said, and I need volunteers who understand what they're getting into. You'll be violating the ban, Trax warned. The Council will never forgive that. Jack's eyes hardened. Some lines have to be crossed, this is one of them. The ban on human warfare was about to be broken, and the galaxy would remember why it had been created in the first place. The scout ship Shadowfall moved silently through space, its advanced stealth systems hiding it from enemy sensors. Inside the small bridge, Jack Reed sat in the captain's chair, surrounded by his hand-picked crew of 5 humans. Status report, Jack said, his voice low and tense. We're approaching Freedom Colony, replied Tom, the navigation officer. Long-range scanners show 7 Void Collective warships in orbit. They've already landed ground forces. It had been 3 days since Jack broke the ban completely. Admiral Trax had given him a small stealth vessel and turned a blind eye as Jack recruited former military personnel who had been living quietly throughout the galaxy. Each volunteer knew they were risking everything. Any word from Admiral Trax's fleet? Asked Lisa, the communications specialist. They're engaged with the main Void Collective force 2 systems away, Jack replied. It's a diversion. My sister knew exactly what she was doing when she split their forces. Jack studied the tactical display. Freedom Colony's defenses were crumbling. They had never been built to withstand a full military assault. The colony had always relied on the ban for protection. No one attacked human worlds because humans couldn't fight back. Time to show them why humans were banned from warfare, Jack said. Everyone remember the plan? His small crew nodded. All of them were veterans who had kept their skills sharp despite years of peace. Like Jack, they had been waiting for this day, though none of them would admit it. Tom, take us in. Lisa, jam their communications. Ben, prepare the drop pods. The Shadowfall accelerated toward Freedom Colony, still hidden by its stealth systems. As they approached the planet, Jack felt a familiar calm settle over him. This was what humans were made for, the desperate moments when everything hung in the balance. Entering atmosphere in 30 seconds, Tom announced. Jack stood and moved to the equipment locker. Inside were 6 sets of combat armor, far more advanced than anything the Galactic Defense Forces used. These were human designs developed in secret over decades despite the ban. Suit up, Jack ordered. The armor enclosed each human like a second skin, enhancing strength, speed, and reflexes. The helmets connected to a shared battle network, allowing each team member to see through the other's eyes. Drop pods ready, Ben reported. Launch, Jack commanded. 6 pods shot from the Shadowfall toward different parts of the colony. Jack's pod plummeted through the atmosphere, the heat shield glowing red as it descended. Inside, Jack checked his weapons one last time. The pod crashed into the central plaza of Freedom Colony. Before the dust settled, Jack was out, weapon raised. Through his team's shared vision, he could see they had all landed safely at their designated targets. Move out, Jack ordered through the secure comm link. Remember, we need to draw attention, away from the civilians. Jack moved through the familiar streets of his childhood home, now a battleground. The Void Collective soldiers were tall, 4-armed beings with bone-white skin. They turned toward him in surprise as he approached. What happened next was recorded by the colony's security systems and broadcast across the galaxy. For the first time in 200 years, humans went to war. Jack moved with inhuman speed, his enhanced armor making him faster and stronger than any natural being. His weapons fired with perfect accuracy, disabling the enemy soldiers without killing them. He didn't need to kill, he just needed them to focus on him instead of the civilians. Across the colony, his 5 team members were doing the same. Through their shared neural link, they coordinated perfectly, each one covering the other's blind spots, setting up ambushes, and leading the enemy into traps. Within an hour, nearly half the Void Collective ground forces had been neutralized, and not a single human soldier had been injured. The efficiency was terrifying to watch. This wasn't the honorable, straightforward combat the galaxy was used to. This was something else, calculated, precise, and utterly merciless in its execution. The colony's communication center had been the first target Jack's team secured. Now he stood inside it, watching the battle unfold on multiple screens. Sir, Lisa called from a nearby console. We're receiving a transmission from the enemy command ship. Put it through, Jack said. Maria's face appeared on the main screen. She looked surprised but not upset. So you did it, she said. You broke the ban. How does it feel to be a real human again, brother? This isn't about being human, Jack replied. It's about protecting innocent people. Maria laughed. Look at what you've done in just 1 hour. 6 humans against hundreds of Void soldiers, and you're winning. Do you understand now why I did this? The galaxy needs to remember what we're capable of. You attacked human colonies, Jack said, his voice hard. You killed thousands of our own people. I needed to push you far enough, Maria explained. I needed the galaxy to see why they feared us, and now they're watching. Every security feed from Freedom Colony is being broadcast across galactic channels. They're all seeing what humans can do in battle. Jack realized with growing horror that this had been her plan all along. She had wanted him to break the ban publicly, to show the galaxy why humans had been restricted for 2 centuries. The Void Collective ships are pulling back, Ben reported from another console. They're retreating from orbit. They've served their purpose, Maria said. They helped me show the truth. What truth? Jack demanded. That the ban wasn't to protect the galaxy from humans, Maria replied. It was to protect humans from ourselves. The screen went dark as she cut the transmission. Jack turned to the tactical display. The enemy forces were indeed retreating, but something else was happening. Several Galactic Council ships were entering the system, not Admiral Trax's fleet, but ships directly from the Council itself. "Sir," Lisa said, her voice tight with concern, "we're receiving a message from the Council ships. They're ordering us to stand down and surrender immediately." Jack had expected this. Breaking the ban had consequences. "Tell the team to complete the evacuation of civilians, then meet at the extraction point," Jack ordered. "We're not surrendering." "What about the Council?" Lisa asked. "They've just seen what 6 humans can do in battle," Jack replied. "Let's show them what we can do when we're trying to escape." As the evacuation finished, and Jack's team prepared to leave Freedom Colony, news of what had happened was spreading across the galaxy. The footage of humans in combat had been seen by billions. Some watched in horror, others in awe, but all with the same realization. The ban had existed for a reason. Human warfare wasn't just about technology or brutality. It was about something deeper. A willingness to do whatever was necessary. A capacity for unconventional thinking that other species lacked. And now, for better or worse, that capacity had been unleashed again. As Jack's team boarded their ship and prepared to run the Council's blockade, he knew the galaxy would never be the same. The human element had returned to warfare, and nothing could put it back in the box. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from over 50 species filled the circular chamber, their voices a mix of anger, fear, and confusion. At the center stood Jack Reed, alone and unafraid. 1 month had passed since the battle at Freedom Colony. 1 month since humans had broken the ban and reminded the galaxy why they had been feared for so long. 1 month of chaos as the Void Collective continued its advance, though now more cautiously. "Commander Reed," said Council Leader Orza, her voice carrying through the hall, "you stand accused of violating the most sacred law of our galactic community. How do you plead?" Jack looked around the room, meeting the eyes of various council members. Some looked away, unable to hold his gaze. "I did what was necessary to save lives," Jack replied simply. "I would do it again." A murmur ran through the crowd. Admiral Trax stood from his seat and approached the center. "If I may speak, Council Leader," Trax said. Orza nodded, and the old admiral continued. "I witnessed Commander Reed's actions firsthand. Yes, he broke the ban, but he also saved an entire colony of civilians who would have died otherwise." "The ban exists for a reason," countered Admiral Krex, stepping forward. "We all saw the footage from Freedom Colony. 6 humans defeated an army. This is why humans were banned from warfare. They are too dangerous. And yet you need us now," Jack said. "The Void Collective continues to gain ground. Your conventional forces can't stop them." The council chamber fell silent. It was the uncomfortable truth no one wanted to acknowledge. "There is also the matter of the Void Collective leadership," Admiral Trax added. "Commander Reed's sister, Maria Reed, has been confirmed as their primary military advisor. Humans are already involved in this war, whether we acknowledge it or not." Council Leader Orza sighed heavily. "This places us in an impossible position." Jack stepped forward. "There is another option, the Earth solution." The words sent a shock through the room. Many council members stood in protest, shouting their objections. "You would dare suggest such a thing?" Krex demanded. "The Earth solution is what led to the ban in the first place." Jack held up his hands for silence. "I don't think any of you actually understand what the Earth solution was. You've heard stories, rumors, myths, but few of you know the truth." He took a small data crystal from his pocket and inserted it into the central console. A holographic image appeared above them, an old video recording. "This is my great-grandfather," Jack explained as the image of an elderly human in military uniform came into focus. "General James Reed, the architect of the Earth solution. This recording was made shortly before his death, intended to be revealed only when necessary." The aged face of James Reed looked out at them across 2 centuries. His voice was strong despite his years. "If you're watching this," the recording began, "then humans have once again been called to war. The galaxy has likely forgotten or misunderstood what the Earth solution truly was." The recording continued, explaining the truth of what had happened 200 years ago. As the explanation unfolded, the council members' expressions changed, from fear to surprise to understanding. The Earth solution wasn't a superweapon, Jack said as the recording ended. It wasn't an act of brutality or genocide as some myths claim. It was a strategy that required a terrible moral choice, one that ended the war but at a cost to humanity's soul. A calculated sacrifice, Admiral Trax said softly. Not of the enemy, but of your own principles. Jack nodded. Humans were banned from warfare not because we were too violent, but because we were willing to cross lines that other species wouldn't. The galaxy feared what that meant. Council leader Orza stood and approached Jack. And now your sister wishes to use this approach with the Void Collective? Yes, Jack confirmed. But there's a difference. The original Earth solution was a last resort, used only when all other options had failed. Maria wants to make it the first option. She wants to prove humans are superior. And, what do you want, Commander Reed? Orza asked. Jack looked around the chamber. I want to show there's another way. Humans aren't just good at war, we're good at ending wars. The same creativity, the same willingness to try unconventional approaches, can be used for peace as well as conflict. He turned to the central display and brought up tactical information about the Void Collective. For the past month, my team has been gathering intelligence. We've learned that the Void Collective is not a natural alliance. Many of their member species were forced to join through conquest or intimidation. If we offer them a way out, protection, independence, we can fracture the collective from within, Admiral Krex scoffed. Diplomacy. Now? After they've conquered dozens of worlds? Not just diplomacy, Jack replied. A combination of targeted military strikes and diplomatic outreach. Human warfare isn't just about fighting. It's about knowing when not to fight, when to use other means to achieve victory. The council debated for hours. Finally, Council Leader Orza called for silence. We have reached a decision, she announced. The ban on human warfare will be modified, not lifted. Humans will be permitted to form a special task force under Commander Reed's leadership to address the Void Collective threat. This task force will have the authority to use both military and diplomatic means. She turned to Jack. However, there will be oversight. Admiral Trax will serve as the Council's representative to ensure the Earth solution, in its most extreme form, is not implemented without Council approval. Jack nodded. Acceptable. Furthermore, Orza continued, once this crisis is resolved, humans will take on a new role in galactic society, not as warriors, but as teachers of conflict resolution. Your unique perspective on warfare makes you valuable not just in fighting wars, but in preventing them. As the council session ended, Admiral Trax approached Jack. You knew this would happen, didn't you? Trax asked. From the moment your sister revealed herself, you've been working toward this outcome. Jack smiled slightly. Humans are good at strategy, Admiral. Not just battlefield strategy, but long-term thinking. My sister wanted to show why humans were feared. I wanted to show why we're needed. And the Earth solution? The real one? Trax asked quietly. Will remain a last resort, Jack assured him. The galaxy doesn't need more destructive power. It needs a new understanding of conflict itself. As they walked from the council chamber, news arrived of another Void Collective attack. But this time, instead of fear, Jack felt hope. The galaxy had finally begun to understand why humans had been banned from warfare, not to protect others from humans, but to protect the galaxy from what war truly was when all limits were removed. Now, with that understanding, perhaps they could build something better. Not just victory, but a lasting peace that acknowledged the darker truth of conflict while striving for something more.